Hello, and welcome to another episode of a Wicked Parley. I am your host, Justin. This is my fellow co-host, Rose.
Evening, everybody.
You know something about this particular evening? It's kind of strange. I feel like there's something weird going on. It almost feels like something needs to change. Something needs to shake loose. You know what? Hit it, Rose. Oh, yeah. All right, yeah.
We have a new layout.
And it looks great.
I think.
Oh, no, it looks great. I think so. I mean, I think everyone has to agree that the new layout looks good. It looks good. It's all.
It looks cleaner.
Yeah, it's so clean and organized. So, tonight we're going to be discussing the pursuit of excellence. And when it comes to excellence, there are many things that come to mind, but I'm curious, Rose, what do you think about excellence? What is the first thing that pops in your mind when you think pursuit of excellence?
Well, the first thing is, since I'm a student, typically means getting either the good grade, the good project grade, or getting a good dissertation done, or just getting the degree in general, but I think it's for more general. It's more of kind of being better.
Yeah?
In one way or another.
Okay, so being better. All right. I can go along with that a lot. All right. When I think of pursuing excellence, I think of striving to attain goals. You know, tackling challenges and going over great obstacles. And, you know, never giving up, even when things look really bleak or bad in some way. And so, like, at least that's what I think for me. So, what is the first question for today's episode? Exactly titled.
Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum.
Yeah! Excellence! Yeah! Feel that excellence? It's so mighty. It's coming through. Yeah. Alright.
So, what is excellence and what is not excellence? Two in one. It's a twofer.
It is a twofer question. So, I mean, obviously we have the definition, which we can throw up from the Merriam-Webster dictionary on the exact key definition for excellence. You want to read it for us?
So, the quality of being excellent, an excellent or valuable quality, or excellency sense too. You want me to click on that?
No, let's just not go down that particular.
Just the first two then?
I mean, sure,
Or
yeah.
the first one?
I think the fact that the second one is considered a virtue, I think, is kind of interesting, at least in the definition for it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, when it comes down to what is not excellence, because I think we kind of both covered what is excellence. I think what is
At
not.
least in our opinions.
Yeah, definitely. And this is also should be said. This is our opinion. This isn't meant to be taken. This is exactly what it is. It's more like this is how we think. And if you agree, then great. And if you don't, well, share it. Because nothing would mean more to me than hearing someone be pissed off in the comment section, or sending us an email, which you can now see as it moves across the thing. But I seriously doubt anyone's going to be pissed off. But if you are, hey, I'll read it. Maybe. Probably. Probably.
I know how to read the chat, so no matter getting to it.
Words may happen. They may be said. Things might be going on. So, hey, take advantage.
But yeah, this will be our baseline. It's just like achieving goals for the most part.
Yeah.
So, what is not excellence, though?
Not excellence is not doing anything. Stagnation. Not progressing in any way, shape, or form. Not creating, shaping, or taking on challenges or goals.
So not improving, not making progress. Would you even consider potentially metaphorically going backwards as not excellent?
No, because
or is that different in a different sense?
I think it's different in a different sense. I think going backwards can be a consequence of pursuing excellence. I think it also be a consequence of doing other things. I don't think going backwards inherently means you're not pursuing excellence.
Just wanted to clarify, because it's like that is an option that some people, including myself, like a couple years ago, might have thought.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
Alright. So we were talking about how it was essentially subjective. Oh, wait, I have a picture for this.
Yeah.
I have un picture! Bunk.
Excellence or mediocrity?
It's quite the statement. It's quite the statement.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, like, here's the thing about this, right? Like, are you honestly excellent? You know, like, if you're doing something, and if you choose not to, does that mean automatically it's mediocrity? I don't know if I agree with that sign, just in the way in which it presents things, because it's like, it's not necessarily...
Middle path, please.
It's not necessarily a clear-cut road like this. If you go this direction and follow literally everything to a T, it's pursuing excellence. Oh, I decided to take this left path. It was pretty looking. Oh, it means I'm stuck in mediocrityville. Yeah.
You need paths in the middle.
And the truth is that like these paths probably just snake in and out throughout all over the place. And honestly, I don't think it's just a simply follow the sign. Because if it was, then everyone would be pursuing excellence.
I think it's more of these are the extremes.
Yeah, or like there's just not a real sign in life.
Hey.
Like, I don't know where I'm going. You know, it's like I don't know.
Hey.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What is excellence based off of when it comes to different people, cultures, societies, etc.?
I'll let you take this one first.
So definitely subjective, especially with what each society is aiming for people to achieve. If they're more focused on intellect, I guess pursuing excellence would be based more on that. If you're more interested in, say, physical labor,
Mm-hmm.
it's essentially like how much can you lift, how much can you run, how much can you exercise for, and how those sorts of things. So it just depends on what your society, what your culture, what your community more favors in the real world.
You'd say
like,
values, perhaps?
Yeah. So, like, do they value physical strength more? Do they value intelligence more? Do they value a balance more? And then I guess it would be, you'd be excellent based off of those terms.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Definitely. When it comes to my particular response to for this question, is that I think each culture builds up what exactly is its own definition of the traits that are associated with excellence or the pursuing of excellence. And so you're definitely spot on. You know, if a culture values someone's ability to lift heavy objects or maybe pursue education or earn money or have a family or something like that, like anything that's considered like a true virtue that's specific to a good overall trait, I think that's likely the thing in which a society would point to and go, that's pursuing excellence. So yeah, we're banging through these questions. I'm getting a little nervous.
Sorry. As soon as you mentioned like the excellence, I started immediately thinking of video games too, like those rhythm games,
Oh my
like
God,
DDR,
yeah.
Rhythm Heaven, Osu, those types of things. They rate you from like bad to excellent, and excellent and perfect is you have to nail it. And I'm just thinking, God.
Also, like I was thinking, like also just hearing that, it also reminds me of Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah, DDR.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I have failed at DDR.
Boom.
Where like it's like excellent. It's like yeah, but I committed to just that one step and then missed like 7 or other steps. Like, well, we failed this song because we are just like a goblin or something. Just like I can't like hit like tap or anything. I'm no rhythm. I'm white.
That was rude.
It's not rude. It's true. I'm white, and so naturally I was born with no rhythm.
I'm pretty sure a couple of our friends would like to differ.
I'm joking. I was born with no rhythm. Doesn't mean everyone who is born like me also, has no rhythm.
I think we're gonna get into like more of these types of scenarios in later questions too. But I immediately thought of the game. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 2.
Oh my God! Or Guitar Hero.
Oh God, yeah.
I love Guitar Hero. I'm sorry, but like I have a friend out there whom I won't name who is really, really amazing at it, and I swear it's like he's a wizard. But like I try and do
Beat Saber.
Beat Saber. What do you mean?
Rhythm. It's a rhythm game.
Yeah, it's another rhythm game. Yeah, it's a more modern rhythm game.
Yeah.
But like Beat Saber, like I've seen you play Beat Saber once, and that was an experience that I shan't ever forget. It's like just savagely attacking. Oh my gosh. Anyways, all right. So, would you like to say anything more about video games?
Nah, we covered a bit. We can do that another episode on that probably.
Sure. Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
Let us know in the comments section if you want another episode about video games.
For sure. And also, if you care, like, comment, subscribe. Be nice.
Hit that button.
Please.
I'm so happy with that cute little thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
shall we move on to the next?
Yes. Let's go on. Let's move to question 3.
Look at the people. Goodbye.
Oh, look at that. Nice guys helping that woman plant a tree, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a group of people. It's actually from what I understand, it's a river restoration project.
Oh, okay. That's a noble project to do.
So, what is the most important element of excellence? Want to take this, or do you want me to take this first?
I'll take it. I don't mind. The most important element of pursuing excellence, I think, likely has to do with the ability to differentiate the most important pieces of a goal from other slightly lesser tasks. I would say excellence is something that is never truly achieved. It's just kind of like a general direction that someone goes. So you could think of it like a goal is an idea that, or a set of things that you work yourself up to be able to achieve, right? Excellence is the general direction by which that particular goal follows. So making sure that you go, okay, this is clearly defined as the direction that I want to go, and these are the goals that follow that general direction. That's the part that is critical to excellence, at least to me. Like when I think about it, I think that being able to stay on track and know exactly what you're trying to do is probably much more important than the actual specific things that are involved in it necessarily. So, what do you think about this particular question?
I think for me, it's really a matter of just being consistent and persistent.
Consistent and persistent. I like it.
It's kind of we'll get into it more later with our 5th question, actually.
Okay.
It's essentially, you can't just stop. If you want to pursue being excellent, you can't really stop doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you mentioned, it's not it's a goal, but it doesn't mean perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Which means it constantly gets improved upon, and therefore you need to be persistent in doing so, or essentially you won't kind of reach that goal.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, being consistent and persistent is probably, for me, the most important element of it, because if you're not persistent, it's going to stop at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you do things sporadically, yeah, it may help, but sometimes people just get lucky.
I suppose, but I don't think getting lucky necessarily is excellence. I think it's luck.
No. Some people get lucky in that whatever they did happens to help them, but it doesn't happen again.
Well, it could. I mean, here's the thing. I think that like what I was trying to say before about it was, I guess I don't say that your perception of it is off kilter, because I think it's their own thing, but I think that for me, I wonder, would you say that yours is more like a finite thing that coincides with let's say a certain event, or is it something that you'd say is more general than just something that relates to a specific event? It's more like a feeling that someone has over a long term.
I think depending on the situation, it might be both. Because it's in some instances it could be finite, such as you want to get an excellent score on an exam. If the exam is a one-time thing, yeah, it's going to be finite. But for the overall general feeling, if it's more like a hobby or a constant game, or potentially, jobs, not exactly infinite either, that's finite.
I mean, hey,
Like,
maybe there is.
yeah, or it's just like gathering good memories. Like you can gather good memories until the point where you die, but that's fine. But we're not going to talk about that because
Pursuing excellence. But you're talking about death now. This seems like a great idea.
you know from our conversations I get morbid.
I know.
But yeah, for me it's like consistence and persistence
Okay, all right.
in general, really.
Like I said before, I like that particular thing.
I like how it rhymes.
Yeah. Consistent and persistent. Let's get there. All right, let's go on to question number 4.
Oh yeah, that my answer is the reason I chose that picture.
I see.
Because growing a tree, not the easiest thing.
For some people.
My father's got a green thumb, I got it. Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
What do we do with excellence and why is it important?
What do we do with excellence and why is it important? I think you need to take this question first. Mine's gonna be a long one.
Yours is a bit long.
Yeah.
So what do we do with excellence? It's, I guess, a matter of not only motivating yourself to continue on that path, but also could potentially be used as some sort of tool to motivate other people to also pursue excellence. It's kind of one of those things where it's one of those instances where you can pursue excellence and lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important because that way a good portion of people will strive to be excellent and make the world better in whatever field they're in, whatever hobby they're doing, whatever job they may be involved in, whatever society and whatnot.
Sure.
Because essentially, the better we are as people, as a society, as a community, as a society, as a person of humanity,
Yes.
it's kind of better in the long haul. The more people we have, quote, being excellent.
Okay.
At least in my opinion, it's better in the long haul, depending on how far they go in that. And we cover that later.
But why, though, I wonder? Like, why is it important that people actually pursue it? And what do they do with it, necessarily?
What do they do with it?
Yeah, like how does a person utilize their excellence?
For me, it's a motivator, but I can see some people use it as, like, if you want to be material about it, you can use it as part of your resume, depending on what you did.
Okay, that's very materialistic, but all right.
I told you it was a materialistic.
Okay.
I said right before the sentence, if you want to be
Oh,
materialistic.
I know, but I'm just like, it's like a very materialistic answer. It's like, I'm going to use this on my resume. It's like, all right.
People do. But it's just a matter of motivating not only yourself, but for other people to make things kind of better, in my opinion.
Okay. So make things better for other people
And yourself.
and yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What about you?
Okay. All right. So I'm going to take this into 2 parts that it really deserves. So when it comes to what we do with excellence, I think excellence is an outlet for expression as well as an outlet for what we do with good energy and good intentions in the world. I think that go from developing communities to fighting poverty in urban cities into being political activists fighting for rights and freedoms for various people, I think are all pursuits of excellence in various ways. I think also some people, develop, certain businesses that eventually develop into huge corporations that, try to tackle world problems in some way sometimes, or also become world problems. But we're not going to go down that road.
He's like, we already went on to death. We don't need to go into that.
I know, right? There's so many caveats. But when it comes to excellence, I think the things that we do are really the things that shape our direct environment more often than not, whatever that might be. Maybe it's cleaning up garbage at a park. Maybe it's doing some sort of like give back to the community or mentorship to some youth. Something that's considered a overall good. I definitely agree with the definition from question 1 about excellence being a virtue for this particular reason. Because I think a virtuous act of pursuing excellence means that you're showing a pathway forward to an entire group of people who is willing to follow you. And I think that's one of the key things that pursuing excellence is really done with when you try to pursue it. You are helping creating a path for others to follow. You're making the road easier for the people who come next. And I think the reason why it's important has to do with keeping all the things that we cherish for the next generation. I think that if you particularly enjoy parks, or you enjoy museums, or you like certain laws to be worked the way they currently do, well, you fight for those things. You show interest, you show passion, and you work hard to make sure that those things are there for the next generation. To me, that's a way of outlet of excellence and why excellence is important to pursue. Because if you did not have excellence, then you wouldn't have marvelous pieces of art, you would not have places to travel, you would not have things to buy. In fact, you wouldn't have money at all. There wouldn't be governments. So, like, these things are all critical, they're all part of the overall experience, and they're the reason why excellence is so important. That's my response. So, sorry, I told you it was a little long-winded, but hey, you know. Also, people who are watching at home, I hope that you guys like the content we put out, and if you guys have any questions or comments, you know, to anything that we're talking about, feel free to send us a message. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and if you can find someone, drag them off the street and we'll have them watch our channel, because you never know. The more people we have to watch, the more entertaining things will be for you guys. So, anyways.
So far, we've gone through about 4 questions. What does the audience think about this so far?
Yeah, is it exciting? Is excellence something that you guys think about on a day-to-day basis, or have ever considered?
Yeah.
We're gonna go with crickets. Anyways.
Had a cricket.
You know, one of the things I really got to appreciate is that, like, you know, this new border, you know, just while we're waiting for people to respond, if they respond, is that this is a great design. You know, I mean, I gotta say, I love the wood, I love the shapes, I like the boxes, I like how everything's nice and organized. I like the fact that the picture is where it's at. I think it's great.
Yeah, I absolutely borrowed the concept from a tutorial by, I'm gonna pronounce his name wrong. I believe it was like Michael Frere. Ah, host. Welcome back, host. It's good to see ya.
Hey, host.
Let's see. I think it's important to look at the small things. Not everyone will lead their community, but everyone can clean up their local park or something. Yeah, that's true.
100% agree with you.
It doesn't have to be big. By the way, I like the no style. Thank you.
Thank you, host.
I absolutely borrowed the outside border from somebody. Made it myself, but it was like based off of something else. We're hoping to test out a couple of new styles and see which one fits us. Like, feel free to comment or even email us about feedback about the new border, or even if some of you feel like we should change back to the old one.
Yeah, if you guys like, just
have a third
with the
one to test out.
Yeah, that's true. We have. There's a couple other ones we're kind of working on too. So hopefully someone, yeah, like will like what we do. Anyways, back to what we were at before. So
next question. Oh, you wanted me to do this one again.
One thing though, real quick. One thing. It's very important everyone knows this. Bring more viewers. Participation. Bring it. Send us questions. Send us things you want us to talk about. Interact with us in some way, shape, or form. We have a Twitter that goes completely unutilized. Send us messages. Do something. I want to smile in the morning. You know, I want to wake up and like, oh, look, someone tweeted at me today. Oh, that's great. That seems funny. I like that. I would. I mean, that would make my day.
Yeah, I'd love to do another live stream like we did last Saturday, where we just answering random questions.
Yeah, that would be really fun. I mean, if we have enough like new questions, I would be happy to do that again.
Goodness gracious, that was a lot of questions.
It was like 30-ish questions. Okay. She's like already on top of it. She's like, yeah, no, it's 31. Like, it's too many questions.
Okay. On to the next segment before we get into this spittle.
It wasn't that many questions. You know it.
Uh-huh, sure.
It wasn't. It was 31.
You said we were gonna breeze through it in like an hour.
And I was wrong about that, but I'm man enough to admit that.
Anyway.
Okay.
Bunny da da.
Oh, I don't want one of those. Ah, oh no. No. Is that really excellence?
Depends on your definition.
Okay. I don't want one of this.
But yeah. Can excellence be taught, or is it something you're born with?
Okay. I'd like to hear from you.
That sounded so smug. Let's see. For me,
Okay. Is it smug? It's smug. It's like,
You?
It's like, excuse me for a second. Just. It wasn't smug. It wasn't smug.
feel free to.
It
Oh,
wasn't smug.
okay. I'll read that after I answer this. Let's see.
Sounds-
Can excellence be
sounds-
taught, or is it something you're born with? I think you're not born being excellent. You can be born with traits that help you be excellent, but I think it's more of, like I mentioned before, it's a persistent thing.
Mhm.
You can be born with traits that help you to be it, but it's more of a taught thing, in my opinion.
Interesting.
It's kind of a, like, if you want to be excellent at running, you can absolutely be born with a good body physique that's built for running,
Mhm.
but you still need to train it in order to kind of use your body correctly, type of thing.
Okay, but what about like the guy who gets his leg stuck in a wood chipper and he wants to be a runner? It's like, what are you gonna do to that guy?
Prosthetics?
You have a prosthetic, but then that's an unnatural advantage. He's not a great runner anymore. He's a great runner with a prosthetic.
I mean,
Can
it's
he run without a prosthetic?
it'd be difficult. Probably would be using like a wheelchair or a walker or something.
Okay, so that's not running though, right? That's
In
hobbling.
the pure definition of the word, running is just running. You go fast.
No, the pure definition of the word, I'm pretty sure it's not that. I'm pretty sure it requires bipedal motion, or at least or quadpedal motion, or something like that.
You trying to say something about people who got an amputated or something?
No, not at all. I'm just not saying it. I'm just saying that, like, they're like RoboCop. They're like superior people.
I mean, they had to get disadvantaged first, so.
Yeah, it's true, but then you have like a neat way of like hiding stuff. Like if you have like a fake leg, you can like hide like a flask in your leg. I don't know.
I mean, I'd hide a knife, so.
Oh, jeez. Shank somebody.
But yeah, I think it's more of a. You can be born with traits that help you become excellent, but you need to actually learn how to use those traits, hence the taught.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I can see that. I
And-
mean, I mean, like, I can see your point, but I disagree with it entirely.
Yeah, fair.
It's like.
You do that a lot, so.
Sorry, I'm just gonna go the complete other way with this one.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, like, I think that excellence is not something that can be taught. I think it's something that you learn based upon circumstances and situations that you come to innately. It's not something that anyone can one person go, do this, and this, and now you're pursuing excellence. I think that's how people buy into infomercials and like crazy schemes that like do these crazy steps and you'll do the next thing. It's like, no, I don't think that's really how that works. I think the truth is that like it's like the first question said, excellence is a virtue, right? Virtues aren't really taught. They're more like they're observed and then they're imitated.
I mean, that's one form of teaching.
I wouldn't say that's in the traditional sense, because it's not like teaching someone is like going, I'm showing this person how to do this, this, and this. The person themselves has to observe the behavior and make the connection and then decide to copy that particular behavior.
Hmm.
And at least that's my particular thing, and that's the reason why I think it's a little bit different than taught. I definitely do think people can be born into a circumstance, though, where they're surrounded by people who are constantly pursuing excellence, and by the very nature of the people who are in their circle, they are, already set up to do that. So,
Fair.
at least that's
Just depends on how you use the word. Just depends on how you use the word taught.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, there's a whole different school of thinking when it comes to,
Six
being
of them.
taught. So, yeah. All right, so we have some questions.
Hi, Code Blue Ninja. Good to see you. Let's see. Trying to improve is how we progress as a species. Competitiveness and striving to impress each other is how we improve, make mistakes, learn, and refine our existing processes. Taught, more likely learned via practice. And then host adds, excellence can be encouraged but not exactly taught.
Yeah, I see. I agree with hosts of his particular opinion about that. I can see it being encouraged, 100%, but I don't think it could be taught.
Ha, nice. Host added an example. There was a rock climber who lost a finger. Doctor said he couldn't continue. He later climbed a rock face where he needed to jump a gap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how that's losing a finger prevents you from climbing up a side of a rock face. I mean, I don't even think losing an arm would prevent you from climbing up a rock face. It would just make it more difficult. Now, if you're like, I lost my limbs, like all of them, or like all but like a leg, then you know what? I even say, you know what? You got your teeth, you got a leg. I think you can still climb up a rock face if you're really determined. But I mean, like, if you lose your limbs, like all of them, good luck being a rock climber. You know, like they were like within your teeth, like.
I mean, I think I ended up watching this rock climbing, or yeah, I think I was watching this ice climber who had like pulled a tendon or something in the middle of a climb,
Oh dear God.
and she still was climbing.
Oh my God, what a fucking hero. I know what that feels like a little bit, possibly right now, maybe a little bit.
But yeah, I can see with like those definitions of the word toddy, I can see why it's more like learned via practice. I'm just more used to the classroom where like you have those examples during class.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that
It
like.
was Tommy Caldwell on the Donwell. Well, alright then.
All right, good for Tommy Cadwell. I mean, good job.
But yeah, as you were saying.
No, I was just gonna say that like when it comes down to it, I mean, I think that like it's important whenever you think about something as generic as like words like taught, try to think about them from the perspective of as many different angles as possible and then take the aggregate average of those, and then I would assume that to be the position. At least to me, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, because for me, taught is essentially the whole lead by example. You're kind of, quote, teaching like others through your examples, and then you don't learn what's being taught from one person, you learn from a bunch of people.
Okay. All right. Well, I see where you're going with that, and to me, it's like that's not how I view it. But I mean, I can understand why.
Fair.
You
I mean,
do it.
you've had way different teaching experience than I have.
Yeah, I mean, also like it's okay too because like there's no one is right about this. Like everyone has their own viewpoint and it's all equally valid. So it's really important to know that like even though I may not agree with your position,
Yeah, you're right. You like disagree with like a third of what I say, like in every conversation, anyway.
Hey, you know what though? That's what makes me unique. I am willing to challenge you. You don't get over the
Unique, huh?
shenanigans. Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm always a unique.
Sure.
I'm a special snowflake. That's been melted partly.
That does not
Melted partly.
it means.
No, it doesn't mean it anymore. They changed the definitions on me. Look at this. I mean, I don't know.
Alright.
I feel bad now. I probably said something terrible. What does it mean now? I'm just kind of curious. Like, what does it mean before we even get into questions?
I think the way I learned it was it's like special snowflake was kind of like way too sensitive. That's the way I was taught. That's the way it was used when that was the context it was used in for me.
Interesting. Not what I was thinking, but okay. Interesting. I love how language just evolves right before your very eyes, and then you just miss it. I feel so old and ashamed.
All right, Grandpa. Anyway.
Oh, whoa! You should be saying that. That's messed up. That's messed up. I am not
But
old.
messed up. Some grandpas are really cool.
Oh. Okay, but you didn't say it like that. You didn't say it like a cool grandpa. You made it. First of all, you made it. You know what? I'm not an invalid. All right. Oh my God. All right, let's get to question 6.
What are some of the pros and cons to be considered excellent in your field, whether that be a hobby, sport, game, job, or otherwise?
I'll take this. Pros. of being considered excellent in the field is obviously you're going to get, admiration. You're going to get people who are going to follow you. You're probably going to get a lot of opportunities that otherwise wouldn't be availed to you. There's going to be a lot of good things. But I think with those good things, there's going to be a lot of bad things too. For instance, let's say you pursue excellence and you gain some semblance of fame. You now have creepy stalkers who are going to try to follow you and steal your shit or do horrible things to you, potentially. Or mob you for an autograph for absolutely no reason. Like that could happen. I think other cons also is that like suddenly, like let's say like you're doing very well, you're pursuing excellence, you're being successful in some particular venture, and maybe you earn a lot of money. Suddenly people are going to come out of the woodwork being like, hey, I got some really bad things going on. Can I borrow some money? Or can I have, or more likely, can I just have some money? You wouldn't miss this. This isn't going to be missed. But in fact, it very much would be. So, like to me, I think those are some of the pros and cons, honestly, when it comes to it.
Yeah, for some of the pros, definitely agree with you on some of the points, like being respected, having a lot of more opportunities. People kind of look up to you in whatever field you're doing, and sometimes want to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which means that they'd also be pursuing their own form of excellence, so why the heck not?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe the excellence that they're pursuing is the exact same kind of excellence that you are pursuing.
Yeah, so it's like you become an upstanding role model, which can sometimes be a con, as you've mentioned in your things, depending on how stalkerish and obsessive they get.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it is sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
I don't know what you're trying to say with that.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, for some of the cons, let's see. Sometimes being considered excellent, depending on how high you go, they can sometimes put a label on you that kind of diminishes how hard you work. Like, I've read some stories and even seen secondhand experiences of where people are labeled, quote, a genius. So whenever they do something well, do something phenomenal, it's just like, oh, you're a genius, that's why. It's like they try to diminish it, whether because of jealousy or anxiety or some other reason, in order to diminish the hard work that person probably put in. Because, yeah, you can be born with a bunch of things, but unless you figure out how to utilize them properly, it's not going to do you much good.
Sure, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, honestly. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. That's a good one. I missed that entirely. I was like, that's like, honest to God, that's a great one. Because that's like totally real.
Seeing the hard work that people put in?
Heck yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's like, I'd hate to have to work my tail off, get a good score on whatever the heck I was doing, and then just say, it's like, oh, it's because you were born that way, it doesn't matter. It's like, are you kidding me?
Did you not know how many hours I put into this?
I had one of my fellow colleagues. They are smart at what they do, and if they got a good grade in school, everybody was like expecting it of them, and they were so hard on themselves if they got less than a B, and it was just like, are you kidding me?
It's a lot of pressure.
Like, it's so much pressure, which is another thing of being considered excellent and then staying on top in that field. It's kind of like being at the tippy top of a mountain and trying not to fall off.
Well, here's the thing that I think that's also true. It's like when you're pursuing excellence, right, and you get to the very top, it's not even just like you have to get to the top and stay there, but you have to find a way to build ground that doesn't exist.
Like, you have to build a new foundation for other people. Yeah,
I mean, like, you gotta literally be like, all right, cool, so now I made it to the top of this thing. Now we're building a ladder into the sky. All right, that's just what we're doing now. And the ladder can't topple over. It can't do none of this stuff. It's just gotta be we just keep on going up. Or you just fall off, and people are like, oh, see, I knew he was a fraud. I knew it. You know?
Being put up on a pedestal is the worst.
Yeah. People who are
I feel like we have more to talk about the cons than we do about the pros.
Well, I think it's because it's easier to talk about cons than it is pros. Like, which is the reason why I avoid asking questions like pros and cons, because it creates an automatic response.
Yeah, it's easier to talk about the negatives but the positives, but it is a good thing. Not only for yourself, but for those you want to kind of try and carry with you if you want them to.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you want yourself to succeed, you want your friends to succeed, and pursuing excellence is part of that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Also, family. You need to remember family.
I disagree with that entirely.
Okay, depends on like your family, because sometimes chosen family is better than blood family. So,
Yeah, and that can be the case sometimes.
so it's like whoever you consider your like, if you were in good relations with your family, you'd want them to succeed.
Yes. And if you're not on good relations with your family, then I mean, I don't wish ill will on other people, just in general. But I think it's important to understand that sometimes things, just don't go right. And that's okay.
It's just unfortunate sometimes.
Yeah. I think the other thing that's kind of important is just that, like, when you pursue excellence, and I know this is going to be another con, but like it's kind of important. And whether that excellence, perform is either a hobby or a sport, it takes away the fun from whatever you're trying to do when you're trying to stay on top. Like, if let's say, like, hypothetically, you were great at doing some activity. Let's say, I was a fantastic tennis player, and then I started playing tennis, and all the time when I played tennis, I win. And suddenly everyone's like, "Oh, he was just gonna win automatically. It's no big deal, right?" And so but let's say I'm trying hard at tennis. I'm just putting in the work, and I'm going out there. I'm practicing. I'm keeping up on everything. I'm making sure that everything is well known, and the newest tennis techniques and defenses and stuff like that. Like I'm keeping an eye on who's doing good and who I can learn from or who I have to worry about. And it's like, okay. Maybe, no one considers the fact that when you pursue excellence, it's like the fun is gone. It becomes a job. Everything's a job when you pursue excellence. Everything. And I hate it. Yeah,
I'm sure if we gave ourselves another 10 minutes, we'd be able to come up with a couple more. So,
yeah,
before we put a complete downer on this episode, want to move on?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good, strong move you made there, co-host.
Alright, here's the next one. How do people from diverse backgrounds view individuals who chase excellence? Oh yeah, that's why I chose this picture. This one.
Okay, alright.
Olympics.
You know what? I took
one of the better known examples.
Yeah, I took the last one. Why don't you take this one?
I think it would definitely depend on that country's, depending on their background, what ethnicity they are, what their culture is, where they're living, such as their society and community. Depending on what that overall views as excellent will determine probably the attitude toward it. Like, let's say you're really good at academics. However, the community or your culture mainly focuses on more physical features or physical traits and values.
Strength!
Yeah, so it's just like, so even though you'd be considered excellent in other backgrounds and whatnot, because of where you're living, because of what you identify yourself as, they may view the opposite.
Okay.
So they may, quote, see it as pursuing the wrong thing, despite it being a perfectly legitimate choice, because you're not the only background, culture, society in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
So depending on the societies and whatnot you live in, you could do something that, according to one society, perfectly fine, acceptable, and even encouraged. And in another society, it's the, quote, wrong choice.
Like, to me, like, when I hear this question and I hear your response, I just think of, like, all those, like, I know this is going to sound stereotypical kind of, but, like, it doesn't mean anything bad, I swear. But, like, the Asian parents who view successful careers that are not seen as doctor, lawyer, etc., high, like certain specific fields as equally good. Like, a person who is pursuing something in entertainment and perhaps wants to become a filmmaker, all right, and is a very good filmmaker, makes a really great set of films, is very promising, doing a very good job, probably works very hard and makes lots of money.
Yeah.
are not seen as good as the doctor or lawyer because of the different background, that they come from. Now, I've heard this before many times, and seeing as I know you're from an Asian background, does this speak to you or any of your relatives in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah. There was this one family I knew. One of their kids, they ended up moving away from the house in order to essentially move in with the family they married into.
Okay, sure.
They ended up dropping out of college, which was a big red flag for that family.
Oh boy.
So they didn't exactly approve. From what I remember, it's been a while since I last talked to them because busy.
Yeah, sure.
They're doing pretty well over where they're living at now. They're happy. They're happy and they're content with their life, but the family just does not approve.
Oh no.
So it's just like any type of family gathering, from what they've told me, is just tense.
Oh no.
Because it's like they're pursuing something that makes them happy, that makes their that makes them happy, their close ones happy, for the most part. Family.
Sure.
They're doing what makes them happy and what they presume to be excellent, but their family, again, does not approve, thinks the opposite, and gives them a hard time.
Okay. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think that, from the various people that I've talked to, I would have to say that definitely different cultures value different things, but I think the thing that most people... I think the common belief is and when it comes to at least a lot of cultures that I've talked to, is that if you're pursuing excellence, you're probably also earning money, and you're probably earning more money than was perhaps average or normal for a given culture, and that's always viewed pretty highly. Because if you can support a family or you can support something in some way, then it's like an alleviation of some burdens, and I think that that's a universal. I also definitely think there's lots of things that are not universals. I mean, like what is considered a very acceptable career in the States, here, U.S., versus, in some other parts of the world, very different. And so, I'd say that, that's pretty much all there is to say about this particular question, other than to go into each individual one, which I don't think we have time for. But if someone in the audience goes, hey, what do you think this particular part of the world views this particular question, I'd be happy to address it or answer it at a later point.
You mentioned some quantifiers for pursuing excellence, which is kind of what the next question's about, actually. It's a bullseye.
Yeah.
Because of how subjective excellence is there any way to truly judge it?
Yes.
Like, is there a specific, or is there a general way to go about it?
I would say that there's a few different ways. I think it's more general than specific because of the subjective nature of excellence itself. But I think that, yes, there is a few ways to judge it. I think the first way to judge it is to evaluate, is the general direction you're trying to go in alignment with the things in which you want. An example is that, if your goal was to own a house, right, and you are homeless, then perhaps you are not in the exact area that you want to be in. But let's say hypothetically, right, that you're building up towards something specific, then absolutely, yeah. I mean, hey, maybe you're pursuing excellence, and then you can judge yourself based upon the effort, energy, and thought process that you believe is deserving, or you give yourself merit for. That's one way. Another way is that you can measure the success of other individuals that you believe are pursuing excellence, and then see how closely you align with those individuals. I mean, obviously, if some people are like, what, I want to own a company that goes to space, and you're like, I'm comparing myself with Elon Musk, but yet I work at Target. Okay, you're going to have some problems. It's not just, you know what, I appreciate the dreamer aspect to that individual, but it's like, not really.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. However, that's a little too high.
Yeah, a little too high. But at the same time, I think that if you have a realistic expectation of yourself and what you particularly you value, and you compare it with someone who's a similar footing and similar values, then that's another way in which you can judge it. And then there is a third actual way to judge it as well. You can do it by a succession of goals. You can go, okay, I have this goal, and there are these objectives that lead to this particular goal. Then I do these particular objectives, and then that gets that goal, and then it just kind of creates itself in that general direction. And as you tick off the different steps before a goal and then completing a goal, and you can track it all the way back, often maybe used like a journal, for instance, might be helpful in this particular way. You can just figure out if you're on the right path or not just by identifying it in that way. And so, yes, it's incredibly subjective, but if you are honest with yourself and you're honest with what you really want and how close you really are to these things, you can kind of measure it a little bit.
I like the third one where you've got a little set of goals because it's easier to go step by step than it goes like point A, point B, or point A, point Z. What are the rest?
I imagine you would like that because that's how academics are set up.
Pretty much. I like academics.
I don't blame you. I like academics too.
Anyway, but yeah, she's like, I like the third one because it's a more linear set of goals, and if you have no idea what you're doing, it's more helpful to do step by step.
I agree 100% with that.
And then there are, of course, people who don't really care. Don't blame these people. They're braver than I ever could be. Where they go from point A to point Z, and they have such a windy path. Sometimes they even turn right the heck around.
Yeah, but those people are probably the most fun to be around.
They are absolutely hilariously fun. They are glorious. They are chaotic, and I love it. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to do it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for the second one, I can partly agree with that, with the whole comparing yourself to somebody similar. Just like, you have to find somebody who's actually in the same type of circumstances as you, which can sometimes be difficult, and sometimes even if they hide things, maybe you're making a wrong comparison. Granted, I am a little biased towards that particular one, because I've got friends of mine who have had such a hard time trying to compare themselves to someone who started out in a similar situation but ended up ending in a not similar situation, and yet they're still comparing themselves.
Well, I think that, it's probably that person's not doing it correctly. I mean, there's a big difference between being let's say you want to compare siblings, for instance, right? Let's say you had two people who were born, raised the same family. Just because they have the same family, they're not going to have the same life experience. So you can't really compare these two people, even though they have lived in the same general vicinity. You can't compare them. Yeah. But I don't know. There's some subtleties. I also see several questions popping up.
Yeah.
Should we talk about it?
Yeah, it's like the whole, I think I'm gonna agree with you with the second one, as long as it's done correctly. It's when the subtleties are completely changed entirely or ignored, that it says no, you're comparing yourself to the wrong person, stop.
Yeah, I mean, I am clearly, I'm not, Chris Hemsworth level of attractive, but I mean, no, I'm just
Anyway, on to comments. Hello, host. This was for question 7, where we had how do people from diverse backgrounds view individuals who chase excellence. This was particularly for when you mentioned Asian culture with an emphasis on doctors, lawyers, academics.
Okay.
My parents gave my brother a really hard time when he didn't want to become a doctor. He's actually a movie director. Hey,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for your brother, though. Ugh.
Is it though?
I mean, it's hard for people if they're close with their family to have their family have to give them a hard time because they think they're gonna be unsuccessful. There's gonna be the caution of going into something that they probably don't believe is going to work out. But if it works out and if they are still having a hard time, it's kind of disheartening.
Yeah, but I think if you're pursuing what you really care about, then that means that you have a strong sense of self, and I think that's what's more important. Family is family, but I think when family starts to step on who you are and who you're trying to be, that's when family ceases to matter. And so being able to just do what you want to do and is going to be what matters ultimately, because your family isn't going to always be around you. And so,
yeah, I'm just saying it's unfortunate when family does do that.
Yeah. It is.
It's especially if it's your parents, it's they're supposed to love you for the most part, depending on the circumstances of which you were born, but that's another subject entirely.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I know I'm close with my family, so it's like, I know that's probably why I'm biased for the whole. It would be hard on me if they didn't support me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about this.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, Kyle. Hi, Kyle. Welcome back.
Hi, Kyle.
Let's see. One way to judge excellence is the subjective approach on a scale of 1 to 10. How close are you to your goals and track your progress? There is an objective approach, though. Oh yeah, we kind of covered that.
Yep.
A little bit.
Yep.
A host. I prefer the checklist method you mentioned. It creates easily obtainable goals that ain't too daunting. Yeah.
Here's the thing when it comes to goals, though. There's a difference between goals and excellence. This is what I was trying to explain before, at least for my particular definition of excellence. I view it like this, right? Excellent. If you were to imagine like a series of corridors, okay, you have corridors of corridors of going backwards, corridors of moving forward, something like that, right? Excellence is its own corridor, right? And you can imagine objects. Let's call it like a chair, for instance, right? That's placed along the corridor, and those chairs are goals. And let's just say hypothetically, there are lanterns that are alongside, in between the chairs and stuff like that. Those are the checklists, if you're to think of it in a physical way, how I feel about what excellence is. It's a path, it's a feeling that you're on. It's like if I don't know if anyone's ever had experienced this before, but if you do something that you inherently know is going to bring you good things, then you feel happy about it. You feel warm, perhaps, inside, and it also seems like things that happen to you, kind of everything goes right during that time. And when you start to not do stuff like that, everything starts to feel like it's like things are against you. The red lights start to appear a lot more. You get hassled a lot more by people you don't want to talk to. It's like it's a trick in the head, in some ways, in my particular opinion. And so it's being able to follow that feeling and use that to guide your actions in some ways and help set goals, I think is the way to pursue excellence. And in that particular way, I think it differentiates itself from goals and being its own thing altogether. So I hope that was helpful.
I think so, because the way you made it seem earlier with the third one was that the goals is essentially the path.
Yeah, no, it's more like goals are in the path.
Yeah, that would have been a better explanation.
Yeah.
Hindsight.
It's okay. I said it now, so I mean, if you make it to, 50-something minutes in, we're good.
Yeah, definitely, depending on the common themes for mythology, literature, and common themes, and how society defines excellence.
What would you say? I didn't. Did you want to read the question or statement?
You weren't paying attention, were you?
No, I heard what you said. I just didn't hear the statement.
Yeah, Kyle says essentially Aristotle laid it out, turned to mythology, literature, and common themes, and how society defines excellence.
Okay. Aristotle was also wrong about a lot of things, though.
Yeah, we just have to keep in mind which ones actually can be taken with the truth.
Well, I think the thing that's just important to understand is that Aristotle's perspective on excellence was Aristotle's perspective on excellence. It may not be the way in which you think about excellence or the way I think about excellence. We might even have some of the same common themes, but they're all technically our own and different. And no one is right and no one is technically wrong. Well, I wouldn't say no one is wrong. I haven't heard an incorrect response to this particular thing. At least in my opinion.
All right, moving on. Dun, 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 bum, bum,
That's right. Move us along. Yeah. Oh my god. For a second there, when you cut it off, I thought that was like an enormous pot leaf. I don't know why. I just I saw that. I was like, that's just. Okay.
Alright. What are some of the emotions that potentially drive us to pursue excellence?
What do you think about this, honestly?
For me, it could potentially depend on who you are as a person, like who you are in your soul. If you just pursue excellence to be happy, then being joyful, being happy would potentially drive you to pursue that. If you're a competitive person, it could be a sense of pride, or it could be like even a form of jealousy for those who like you deem better than yourself, so you want to like pursue excellence and essentially go right past them.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a competitive person. So for me, some of the emotions depend on who you are as a person.
Okay. I definitely agree with that. I definitely think that every emotion potentially can be a catalyst to pursue excellence, in my particular opinion. I think it definitely is. You are definitely correct in your opinion. At least I find it to be correct, and I would agree with your position on the fact that it is definitely up to the individual. I mean, I definitely am not a happy person. I am a prideful person, and if something stabs my pride, then it's like, yes, I'm going to do everything in my power to absolutely 100% do it as best as I possibly can, which in my way is a level of pursuing excellence. And I can give an example of this that happened to me relatively recently.
I mean, if you want to.
Sure. It's not spite. It doesn't come from
Right.
It doesn't come from a place of being mean. Okay, so for those out there who know, I enjoy a good game of Destiny.
Oh dear.
Oh yes, oh dear indeed. And I was fortunate enough to find a group of people to play a raid with the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And over the course of the raid, which was the new Vault of not new, but more like reissued Vault of Glass. There's a section before Atheon. Actually, no, it was Atheon. It was the Atheon encounters, the last encounter in the raid, where you have to shoot oracles in a certain way, which are these glowy sphere things. And there's a guy who jokingly, well, not really. I mean, yes and no. It was like at first it was clearly like arrogance, and then he kind of spun it as joking, as you'll understand. He basically said that I couldn't kill any of these oracles.
Oh.
And so I proceeded to go. When I went in, it was teleported into the other thing because it's random. I proceeded to instantly kill each and every single one before he could even shoot at it.
It's like, now what'd you say, huh?
It was more like, oh, I realized that I had to get to your level. I'll take a step down. So, I mean, like there was that kind of notion. So, I mean, hey, was it spiteful? No, I don't think so. I think it was just more like it stung me, and so I had to just be like, show my excellence.
I can see why other people might find it. Yeah.
Anyways.
I can see why some other people would find it a different way, though.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% believe that spite can definitely be seen that way. But
heck, even pettiness.
I mean, okay, I'm not going to even argue that one. There's a level of pettiness involved.
I've absolutely been petty.
Yeah, there's absolutely pettiness involved in something like that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that having pettiness necessarily, destroys or takes away from the overall pursuit of excellence.
Just depends on how far you take it,
Holy shit! Really?
What?
Host, we gotta play, man. You gotta send me your fucking information. We gotta play some games, man. You 3-man up the Templar?
Yeah, you can talk.
What?
You can talk to them about Destiny later.
Oh my god. No, I don't know that. Anyway.
Make an email.
I don't know. Oh, that's right. I do have his email.
We have an email.
That's right. Anyways.
God.
No.
So yeah, we've gotten happiness and joy. We've gotten competitiveness and pride. We've gotten Kyle mentioned fear. Host mentioned spite. I added potentially petty.
Yeah, I can see that. Submission too.
You're gonna have to walk me through that one.
Okay, so think about it like this, right? If you're pursuing excellence, right?
Okay.
You're going to have to submit to someone else's will to continue down particular pathways. For instance, let's say your goal is to be the CEO of some company, and you're not the CEO of some company.
Fair.
Well,
fair,
you're
fair.
going to have to really, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, you got me. You got me.
Yeah, I think we all kind of know where that's
I
going.
mean, I could definitely take it in a different direction than we are, but I mean, if you're a woman, this is a great position to be in right now. Welcome to the best time that's ever been. So, I'm not even gonna go down this particular thing.
I don't think you want to.
I should stop talking about this. I think we should move on to the next
Moving
question.
on.
Let's move on to the next question
I do like
before I
this
get in
question.
trouble.
I like this quote.
Heck yeah, greatness is your being, excellence is your doing.
Woo-woo. Now, what is the difference between being successful and pursuing excellence? You've talked a little bit about this, actually.
I know, I have. I definitely have. I would say, I'm going to answer this just out the gate. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to jump in there, but we're doing this. I would say the difference between pursuing excellence and being successful really boils down to how you define pursuing excellence, because I think it's going to change depending upon how you view it. But for me personally, I would think that pursuing your excellence is making sure that you keep your center of all your morals, everything that you value, in check, regardless of what it may or may not do to your success.
Don't make me hide that.
Okay. All right. I was done. I was done my thing. I was done. I looked over after I was done saying what I was going to say.
All right.
What? I feel like I'm going to get beat up here. I mean, like, jeez, just leave me alone, man.
I mean, if you want that to happen.
Whoa, hey-oh. All right, hey-oh. All right.
What is the difference between being successful and pursuing excellence? I think you can actually sometimes fail even while pursuing excellence.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of picking yourself up and continuing to try. It's when you don't pick yourself up that you've kind of stopped pursuing excellence, because if you give up, you're kind of giving up on whatever dream you've had, whatever objective, whatever feelings that potentially continuing and pursuing that excellence, even if you aren't successful, would bring you.
Mhm.
Like, I've had plenty of projects where I would set out to do something, and I was happy doing so, learning new skills, meeting new people, talking with new people, and making connections, and the project failed.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it brought a sense of like sadness and just negative emotions with it, but thinking back on it, the overall journey
Mhm.
was just part of pursuing excellence. I picked myself up and continued on my path, and that was that. You don't have to just always be successful. Granted, if I was successful on everything, I'd kind of get bored, so.
Also, I mean, like, you were successful at everything. How would you know you were being successful?
Yeah, exactly. You have to have a couple losses. I had a professor who was a playwright. Loved making plays, loved being a playwright. They had a wall on their classroom with a list of their successes and a list of their failures.
Wow, that's bold.
Failures was over 6 times as much as the successes.
That makes it. That person did really good then.
Over 6 times. But like I don't remember how many times it was big, because it's been a decade or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was at least 6 times, and they were proud of it. It's like, this is how many times I've tried, this is how many times I failed, but I kept trying, and look what happened.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? That's a great outlook to have, though. I think if you're pursuing excellence, that's definitely a good thing to have. I mean, understand that, you may succeed sometimes and you may fail sometimes, but understand that the effort of just trying to go do it in the first place is worthy of support all on its own and worthy to be acknowledged. So I definitely think that that professor was awesome, and I mean, damn, I wish I had a professor like that. Jeez, that'd be so great.
Yeah. Kyle, you could excel at being a failure, and you could be successful without excelling or pursuing excellence. I mean, considering
Yes, this is true.
this is a pet peeve of mine right now for the education system. Tests.
Oh God, no, man.
We've talked about it in previous conversations before when we've been thinking of episode topics.
Oh yeah, we're going to be talking about this the educational system at some point in the near future.
Yeah. some point, but like tests are a big thing and I hate it.
Yeah. God, yeah. Like in school, I was going to say this now, and I feel like you're going to agree with me, right, Rose, when it comes to this? That school prepares you to take tests. It does not prepare you for the real world.
The current system, yeah, and I hate it.
Yeah, and it's stupid. So it's like if you were like trying to become successful, or you were trying to pursue excellence in some way, and you wanted to use school as a way to, maybe a leaping stone or maybe a starting point, well, congratulations on the first obstacle that you're going to have to encounter, and first one you have to try and figure out an answer for, because it's nutty and very difficult to get through.
Yeah. But Kyle likes to put it. Kyle's second comment is a pretty good one. Real talk, pursuing excellence means to have the goal of excelling. Successful is meeting a goal. Excellence is going beyond it.
For you. No, I mean, like, hey, if that's what he wants to say that, then that's fine. But I don't think being successful means getting a goal necessarily. I think successful is being satisfied with whatever you attempt to go set out, regardless if you reach the goal or not. And I think that pursuing excellence is a state of being. It's something that you have throughout your entire life. It is like a creed. And it's something that you are like as we discussed before. You can be pursuing excellence and still fail, but as long as you pick yourself back up, you're still pursuing excellence. And that is the type of ideology that I particularly subscribe to and believe in. And so that's the reason why I think that particular definition doesn't quite doesn't explain it for me the way I would want it to be explained.
Yeah, I can see where they're coming from. Then.
I can get where they're coming from. It's that's important to say my bit.
Anyway.
Sure.
Unfortunately, got a couple more questions to go through.
Okay.
Bum bum. Oh yeah, this photo. It's so small. Nah.
Okay. I mean, someone needs to swipe on those tablets, man. Oh my god. Like that guy over there, it's like a 13. It's like, okay, answer your damn tablet or something.
How does pursuing excellence change the community in which you involve yourself in?
We want to take a stab at this one?
Sorry, my immediate thought was, yeah, I could shank it.
Just shake it, huh? Just shake it.
Yeah, just shank it. Yeah, just shanked it. Anyway,
how
does pursuing excellence change the community in which you involve yourself in? I think it has quite a bit to do with what values your community, most values.
Sure.
Depending on what you decide to excel in, you could either end up going along with these goals of the community or these values of the community and enforce them, encourage them in other people. It could even lead into the next generation doing something similar. Or if you decide to be excellent in something that they originally didn't think would be a form of pursuing excellence, you could potentially change their mind, get more people to follow your footsteps rather than following the quote norm, and change and influence the community that way. So it's more of a relation between what you decide to pursue as for your form of excellence versus what the community decides. If it aligns with them, then it's just encouraged that form of pursuing excellence. If it's different, you've introduced a new one into the community.
Sure, yeah. Okay. I mean, that's an interesting outlook on that particular thing. I'm kind of curious why you particularly have that viewpoint.
Because, I've had friends and family and acquaintances essentially think that one way or one particular occupation would be unsuccessful, but they did it anyway.
Okay.
And they were happy, they were successful, they were pursuing their form of excellence, and that's all that mattered to them. And it essentially opened up the eyes of those who said it wouldn't make them happy, wouldn't be successful, wouldn't be something to pursue. And it just kind of opened their eyes and realized, yeah, maybe they were wrong at that particular instance. It's just a matter of, like you mentioned before, if you are pursuing what you want to pursue with your entire being, it's not going to matter what those naysayers say. You're going to do it.
Okay.
As long as you again, if something happens to fail, you get back up on your feet and you keep going. Be persistent in your goals. I am bringing it all the way from question 1 here.
Oh boy. All right. I think pursuing excellence can change the community in a whole bunch of different ways. Actually, if I'm going to be completely honest, I think that if you pursue excellence, like let's say like you're a very popular, very famous basketball player, right?
Yeah.
And you're pursuing excellence by playing, or maybe not even a basketball player, just any sports in general, right?
Okay.
And let's say like I think like LeBron James, for instance, I think
Okay.
like did something like where he invested in his community and helped fund a whole bunch of needy children and allowed them to gain a college education. He created a program for them. I think that like if you're depending upon the type of excellence you're pursuing, you could bring back a whole bunch of monetary value, which could help change the way in which that entire community is able to assist those people in it, and it can influence all the things in which happen to those people's lives later on down the road. I also think that the way in which you perceive excellence can change the way in which other people perceive excellence, which could cause them to strive to attempt to do the same things and move in the same general direction. And you see whole communities in the United States that are around those particular things. I mean, like, there are reasons why people go to certain communities, like say like LA, to try and become to work in the entertainment industry. There are hubs for these things that kind of exist. So I think that it's important to at least consider the notion that if you decide to pursue something and you decide to become very successful at it, the people that are going to be around you day to day may also change to be similar to what you believe or similar to what you try to pursue.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, well, let's move on to question 12.
Bum ba da dum. Bum. No, hold on. It needs to zoom out before I can move on. Hey. Quality. This will change because of this particular question. What happens when we choose not to pursue excellence?
Well, I would imagine a whole bunch of things can happen. One, you can become stagnant. You can basically never leave where you grew up. That can be a huge negative to, virtually everything about everyone who supports you, everyone who believes in you. These are people that could be particularly let down. You may not have as many opportunities. Like I would say that if you choose not to excel in certain things, if you choose not to pursue excellence in any way, shape, or form, you may be viewed as unmotivated and uneducated, perhaps. There's a whole bunch of things that could be negatives that could become associated directly just because people like to correlate other things together, and they like to think that because someone is A, that must mean that B and C apply to them. And so I think that those particular negatives are inherent to not pursuing excellence in some way, shape, or form. And in our current community, we see that in the educational system, ironically, as we were kind of mentioning before about how you're taught to essentially take tests and that school doesn't prepare you. Well, I would say that you're told to basically go to school, and if you don't go to school, you're a failure. So you're automatically frowned upon and looked down on if you don't decide to pursue a college degree of some kind after high school. So and I think there are other reasons for that too, but I think more importantly than anything else, it has to do with the fact that people want to view everybody in a certain way, and if you don't appear to be the way in which they believe is the best possible way, then automatically you're excluded from other activities. And so I think that's another problem if you don't pursue excellence. You might just find yourself alone.
Yeah. There's a person, I'm not gonna let's call him Sarah.
Okay.
They essentially were not really a big fan of school.
Okay.
So they ended up dropping out of college. And it took them a while to get them on their feet. Like a long while to get them on their feet because they didn't really have the proper motivation or the proper support to do much. So it's just like I kept hearing people around them secondhand comments mostly from their perspective, so it might be a bit biased, but I'm just letting them know because they're the only perspective I got. So take whatever I say with a grain of salt. Because again, one perspective could be entirely different.
This is true.
But from what they told me, they essentially told me that they had heard people call them like a failure, told them that they're not going to go anywhere in life, that they don't have a future. Because they were at the moment unmotivated to pursue their form of excellence because they didn't know what they were trying to do. As soon as they figured out what they were trying to do, though, they got to work. They decided to do what they wanted to do after finally figuring it out. And after a while, after a couple of years, they actually turned out fine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I went from not pursuing excellence to pursuing excellence, but the main point of that in regards to this question is that when you do appear unmotivated, when you do appear to not pursue your own form of excellence, people are unfortunately going to judge you, sometimes harshly at that. Because they'll look at you, see whatever you've accomplished or lack of accomplishments depending on which route you take. Doesn't matter. They will look at you, look at your past, look at whatever's on paper, look at you as a person, your aesthetic, your look, and they will heavily judge you. Because that's what we kind of do as people.
Yes, that is our current society. I mean, I don't think it's all people, but definitely I would agree with our current society. That is definitely a strong influence in that particular way.
Yeah, we definitely judge people hard over in this country.
Oh,
Jeez.
yes. Oh, yes.
But yeah, if you choose not to pursue excellence, it can lead to quite a number of consequences. Being alone, as you said, letting people close to you down, being thought of from other people as essentially having no future, and essentially not having people support you later in life because you're not choosing to pursue excellence. It can come with a lot of danger.
Yes, it can. I mean, especially if everyone's out to get you. Well, I wouldn't say that in that particular, but I say that everyone that you know that would say that you aren't pursuing excellence does not look at you very favorably, and you get denied certain opportunities. Perhaps that would affect your future in certain ways, like being able to get good credit, to be able to eventually acquire a car or a house or some of the things that are kind of associated with, some level of status or success. And so it can, by not pursuing excellence, you can just hinder your ability to just kind of do and succeed in life in other avenues, and so it can make making goals very challenging.
Yeah, could potentially make the quality of your own life go down.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with your entire story and perspective when it comes to that. That is spot on to what I believe.
I was just like, I heard that, and I'm like, hi. That made me horrified.
Yeah.
But, alright, moving on.
Alright, next question.
Yeah. Needed to move on to the next picture here. Oh yeah, here we go.
I love the sign. It's so funny. Don't fall to your knees.
That's somebody shouting to the world, why?
It's a Japanese workspace. This looks like hell. This does not look good. It's like everyone's trying to die a little bit inside.
Those poor people.
Those poor people.
But this is the reason I chose this picture. The question. In terms of pursuing excellence, is there ever a point where you should stop pursuing excellence?
Okay. I'm going to take this right now, out the gate.
Okay.
Right now. No.
Okay.
No. You should never stop pursuing excellence. Ever. Never, ever, 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 ever stop pursuing excellence. Now, if a goal hurts you, if there's something that you do in your life that would cause you to succeed, then yeah, maybe perhaps don't do those things. But pursuing excellence, to me, it's a virtue. It is a general direction. It's a feeling. No. I mean, I can't see anything being worth not pursuing excellence, because there are more positives than negatives associated with being in that particular state of mind. Now, achieving something, there are tons of negatives, as we kind of discussed, but being in that particular state of mind puts you in a position to be so much more successful and so much more happy than you would be if you did not. And so it's really important that at least for me, there's never going to be a point where pursuing excellence is a problem.
Mm. I think for me, it's not really a stop, it's more of a pause. Because like you mentioned before, with the whole if a goal's hurting you or whatever, on that particular path, it's more of you don't stop it, you pause it so you can step back, reevaluate, determine whether this path to pursuing excellence is the one for you, or if it's a different path. So it's not really a stop for me, it's more of a pause so you can reevaluate yourself, so that way you can choose what path is not going to hurt you rather than just kind of bulldozing your way in, because that's not going to help anyone. Even if you truck past this goal, because if you overwork yourself like these poor people,
oh my gosh,
if you burn yourself out, if you overwork yourself, if you end up harming yourself, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, it's not going to help you in your goal in pursuing excellence. It might actually make you resentful on this particular path. So I'd say it's more important to reevaluate so you can determine what's actually important to you, what steps are actually going to help you, and what steps do you need to cut out.
That makes a lot of sense.
So, like, again, wouldn't say pause. I wouldn't say stop. I'd say pause.
Okay. Well,
I can agree with you with the whole pursuing excellence is more of a virtue. You shouldn't stop it, but it's important to kind of reevaluate. Kind of like if you're about to jump over. I've seen people like jump over large gaps. It's like, you don't just like, if you think it's going to be a bad jump, don't jump.
That would be terrible. That'd be terrible. Don't just jump off a cliff or something. That'd be no.
It's like double check yourself, double check your priorities, double check that it's gonna work.
Before you wreck yourself.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I can't believe I did that accent.
Yeah, I'm so happy she did it. So great. All right, so before we get to the last question, I just want to say thank you everyone for who was able to watch. Thank you for your chats. Hopefully you can like the video. Hopefully it was entertaining. I hope that you guys, if you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you guys are liking the background, would love to hear about it. Send us an email if so many questions. There will be another episode similar to the last Saturday, where we will be discussing just random questions at some point. Not this Saturday, of course, but at some point in the future. This coming up Saturday is going to be discussing a very wonderful topic. Hopefully, it's something that everyone in that office will someday, experience in great many magnitudes or waves, we call it. We're going to be discussing happiness. So I hope to that you guys come and check it out. Hopefully, you guys maybe have some questions in the comments on that particular episode.
I'd love to hear some happy stories.
Yeah, some happy stories maybe. That would be great.
The title is going to be to make sure that people can get their questions and potential stories out ahead of time. I'd love to read them if you're willing to share.
Yeah, I'd love to read them too. So.
Yeah. So the title is What Makes a Person Happy? So like what makes you happy? What could make, well, I definitely would share a story about what makes me happy.
Yes. There's going to be lots of stories sharing.
It's just so subjective. Anyway.
So I just want you guys to check that out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. And so what is the last question we have?
Right. This picture.
Yes.
After hearing our discussion, how are you going to pursue excellence?
Indeed. How is everyone going to pursue excellence? Send us an email. Send us a message on Twitter. Contact the show any way you want. And we'd love to hear back from you about question number 14. And with that, this has been another episode of Wicked Parley. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
We bid you adieu.